Good night. Welcome to NFT Live on the Web3 Network. Another week. We're about to get after it on crypto and NFTs. We're about to get into all the latest updates, hopefully in around an hour's time. Thank you for joining us. I know you got other places you could be on this fine Monday. It's 422. We got through it. We survived 420. We survived the Bitcoin halving, however you want to say it. But yeah, going to be a good episode. Some cool updates coming from some of the larger projects here in the industry. So we've got a ton to cover. I'm sitting here, of course, with Biggie Poppins and Gift Dead, some of my favorite co-hosts and friends in the industry. What's up, guys? GM, nice shows this morning.
GM, man. Yeah, I agree, man. We're getting good at this, huh? The vibes. Something 50, about 50. The vibes as of late, I don't know how much credit I want to give to the happening and the 420. Maybe it's the after effects, but I don't know, man. I've just been digging the vibes. They seem very, I don't know, like we're in tune. Like everybody's just coming together. It's lovely to see, man.
You said you didn't check floor prices in the morning, but it makes me think you're lying, Biggie Poppins. Are you sure you didn't check any of the crypto prices this morning, and that's the vibe you're getting?
These motherfuckers, because like they were flying off the shelves when I was like in the Discord, starting some shit, just talking, just vibing off of pure vibes. No real crazy alpha as of yet, though I hear it's incoming. There's a lot of things incoming from these little fat pudgy fuckers. But it was just a good time, and yeah, so I had to check. But other than that, no. I'm still thinking come June is when we're really gonna have the, the charts and everything on full, like 24/7, just with the alarms and the bells and whistles and all that stuff.
All right, Biggie was just mentioning the cappies. We do have several Say updates to get to. Say was one of the top performers over the last 24 hours, by the way, on the major token front. Justin Casey dropping in some runes here, so we'll get to that, of course. We'll do an Ordinals and runes overview. Dubious, Christian Jensen, Nox Darkness, welcome in. I'm going to get to sharing out the episode. Have been rugged a little bit this morning by Elon, so we'll see how that goes. But, also, I can't say Elon. Gifted, GM.
GM, you can say whatever you want. I'm just pointing out that Elon is a convenient scapegoat, and I'm starting to feel bad for my man catching strays left and right. He gets, you know what? It's fine. He also gets the accolades. He's also one of the richest men in the world. So yeah, I guess, yeah, he deserves some of the negative too. I just think it's hilarious how like every technical difficulty that we experience is Elon's fault. Thanks, Elon.
Has to be.
Thanks.
What else is going on in your neck of the woods, sir? You had GM Web 3, a fantastic one this morning. We got into the weeds. I mean, between Waffle House, Denny's, and IHOP, we had to get to the bottom of it at some point.
Yeah, we had a great time over there on the X Spaces. Say What was great. GM Web 3 was great. Yeah, the vibes are up because we somehow together survived getting through another halving. Massive event. Momentous. Hopefully you out there celebrated somehow, some way this weekend. We celebrated our 420 with a 12-hour stream. Q was there the whole time. It was crazy. It was a really good time. Shout out Inside NFTs, our friends Huda and Fam for putting that on. Had a great time over there. Hopefully y'all were able to catch some of that. But yeah, again, either way, hopefully you all enjoyed the weekend. And yeah, it seems like Bitcoin kind of it found some, I don't know, it feels solid right now. We're coming into the week with a little bit of momentum, and it doesn't feel like too much volume yet. Like everybody's still a little iffy, so I don't know, it kind of depends. We'll see which way from here we go, but hopefully this momentum carries through and we have a good week. We'll see. But waking up this morning on a Monday didn't feel too bad.
Apologies in advance for the not dark mode here, but I can get a look really quick at BTC. So you can see this. Whoa, holy shit. Okay, that's a weekly chart. Let me zoom in just a tad. So this is the hourly. Again, the halving happening on Friday. So a lot of folks thinking that we were going to get that on the 420 Saturday. We got it late on Friday, maybe the afternoon, and we've really only gone up from there. You can see that large green candle. We're sitting at 66,420 right now, interestingly enough. But yeah, we're stairs up here since that time. Didn't look like we had a massive dump here after that time frame, which is good to see. Again, all of this stuff right now is kind of tied in together as the market kind of moves towards a legitimate bull market. Once we're in the bull market, you'll see all of these things start to decouple and things will move outside the range of BTC. But right now, we're looking at BTC to tell us what the health of the market is. Other indicators there on BTC like ETFs and also ETF inflows for Bitcoin, super important to be watching at this point. But guys, thoughts on kind of the post-halving market here?
Well, Bitcoin dominance very high, and it might still be for a while because those are the only approved ETFs. And for better or worse, right? Like, it's kind of annoying because everything is so correlated to Bitcoin's, ups and downs. But you can use that to your advantage. If you're a smart trader, you know how to use a solid indicator like that to sort of help you with your trading. But it's I've been thinking a lot about this because it is kind of annoying, but also like realizing that it might stay like that for a while if the BTC ETFs continue to be where a lot of the inflows are coming in through, then Bitcoin dominance may be like this the rest of the year. It might actually increase. We'll see.
Very interesting that you bring up Bitcoin dominance. I think folks who are just like tracking Bitcoin price would be interested in maybe a deeper look into Bitcoin dominance, right? This is the weekly chart. You can see like as Bitcoin dominance falls, that usually indicates a bull market, right? At least an altcoin market, which is the significant, again, thing that happens in the bull is everybody's PVE kind of winning on their altcoin. So going back to, looks like, we saw it really take a nosedive in December of 2017, which was right around that 20K mark, that 21K mark that Bitcoin topped out at. And then you saw a little bit of an alt run. The dominance fell to an all-time low of 36%. You see the same thing from January 21 all the way to mid 21 in 2021 there in like kind of midsummer range. It fell again to 40%. So it doesn't feel like it's ever going to get back to these really extremely like 70% levels just because we have so many other projects now. But what we're looking for is like that move into, right, a like 40% range would probably indicate like, okay, it's on.
Yeah. Above 50% is still a lot right now. And we're at like 53, 54, 55% or something. And again, that just means that more than half of all the total value in the crypto market is in one single asset. That's a lot, right? So understanding that's why it feels like everything that happens is still very closely tied to what Bitcoin's doing.
All right, I'm sharing out the show here. Appreciate if you guys could do that as well. I'm going to drop the link to the NFT live post on X as well. I know you're watching us over here on YouTube, but if you guys could give that some love, we appreciate it very much. Talking macro side stuff as we are post-halving here. There were some like really cool stories around like mining rewards and pieces like that. Like, I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth, but I know there were some kind of folks tweeting out that post-halving it looks dramatically different again on the miner side. So
yeah, they're fucking printing. That's what's happening. They're having a good time.
Can you dive into that for like just like surface level, Biggie?
Definitely surface level. But yeah, when you have a spike up in transactions with such limited amount of block space, price is going to go up, and miners are going to be very happy taking those fees to process your transactions. That's why one of the things that say, is that like, I don't know, like people that were, very bullish on, ordinals and now runes and all of this stuff are like, how can you be bearish on this coming to Bitcoin? It's only gonna, help it, right? Of course, there's the other side where it's like, well, yeah, it's gonna be more costly to transact. The block space is gonna be very crowded. True. But there are solutions already being implemented. Stacks also recently released its new Nakamoto upgrade. It's an L2. You have BitVM, which is also there. You have Core, you have Space. There's a whole slew of L2s coming your way to be able to facilitate or help, make it a less crowded experience that I'm very bullish on, NFADYOR, regarding this. But yeah, that's the conundrum that we find ourselves, right? Like, very good for miners, maybe not so great for users. But so far, users have no issues paying those fees to get in on what they think is going to be the future of meme coins on Bitcoin.
Yeah, let's dive into this. I have been sitting on my hands with a lot of stuff. It's very much like I've played my conviction plays on base, and I'm like really there. I haven't gotten into ordinals from the very beginning. Like, I'm basically just like throwing the white flag up. It's probably not the right play, but I just feel comfortable on some other chains there, and kind of I like my PvP on other chains, should I say, than maybe that.
Performant and a little more
and future performance.
Yeah,
but you guys are taking the opposite approach. Go ahead, Biggie.
Well, I'm kind of in between. I'm not. I've been known here. I've been even called a futter regarding these things because I haven't like rushed in and partaken. Like, my conviction, my thesis lies more on the L2 side. Taking up the mantle here than Opcat, or even like right now Runes and RSIC being the ones leading it, because I do think you're going to have to implement some type of modularity to enable high performance on this chain. The block size, the architecture of Bitcoin is deliberately restrictive in this regard, right? And I very much appreciate Casey and Udi and all these people that are building on it. And I want them to prove me wrong, man. Like, that you're able to remain in a monolithic architecture and transact in this regard. I'm doubtful. And for specifically for this, for Runes, I'm not the only one. Udi seems to think the same thing. Other people believe that you can't fight this block space just like that, right? Like the way they're doing it. Even though I do find the unspent transaction, what would you call them, protocols that have been enabled since Casey came in, as very innovative, right? And they're not going to go away. I think they're just going to be co-opted maybe by some of these L2s. But I remain very bullish. I forgot the question. I kind of went off on this tangent.
It was just in general, right? A Runes follow-up.
Yeah, like,
again, I'm not playing it as much or at all, and you guys are trying to again make these plays. So I think GIF, Huda, Biggie, you guys have all been trying your hand potentially at some of these Runes.
And there's some fair critiques out there, right? Not just Udi, but I think Gino is one of those that's is raising his voice against it, and not against it, just saying like, look, it was underwhelming. It's the same thing as BRC20s. It is clunky. It is not intuitive. It is not useful. Like, why do I want to go backwards when I can go forwards using like more modern tech? And those are fair takes. I
think the only
going to like end this new experimentation and evolution that we're seeing on Bitcoin. And I think I just see it as prodding it to continue evolving and getting better. I think you just launched, and so it is to be expected to have some level of clunkiness, but we'll see how it goes down the line.
So my sort of very layman's understanding is that the only real big update or difference between BRC20s and Runes is that when you're selling them, you don't have to inscribe anything, which basically cuts out a very high friction pain point about the BRC situation. Is like, you basically had to create a new inscription to like package them up or whatever and sell them. So it basically just makes it a little bit more seamless. So people just see this as like the updated version of a fungible token standard. It's a meta protocol on top of the Ordinals inscription protocol on top of the Bitcoin protocol. So it's like a meta squared protocol here, right? And it's kind of like a layer 3 if you think about it, right? So it's like you got Bitcoin protocol, then you got the inscriptions Ordinals protocol, and then you've got Runes and BRC20s. So it's like a layer 3, kind of like DGen layer 3. And so you've got to build out a whole new infrastructure on this layer 3, basically on this new meta protocol. That takes some time. It takes builders, it takes incentives, and then it takes everybody figuring it out. So I don't know. I was saying the last week or two, I think it's going to be overhyped and this would likely happen. I wasn't the only one. Other people kind of expected. There was just way too much hype. So it's not surprising that some people are feeling like it was anticlimactic. It's because you fucking overhype everything. Like, don't get mad when everything doesn't meet your insanely high expectations when you keep fucking overhyping everything.
And if anything, be thankful, right? That a lot less people than I thought got wrecked. You know, I really thought many people were going to get really severely wrecked, that we were going to get some horror stories out of it.
So the way that
That's great.
Yeah, and it's a good point. But the gist of it for me is I think of it very similar to BRC20s, where when it first came out, there was and Ordinals. When it first came out, there's a lot of hype. A lot of people getting wrecked because everybody's trying to figure it out. Everybody's spinning up things. Everybody wants to be early. And so if you just start trying to buy everything, you end up buying a bunch of junk, or you get chopped up in the fees. You know, Biggie was mentioning the fees. I think it was some of the highest fees that have ever happened in the history of Bitcoin just happened around this. Like crazy high fucking fees. And that's why, you know, people like CyberKongs and those who, you know, put their asses on the line to get these early etchings, these early runes, you know, they deserve some credit if that worked out, because they paid through the fucking nose and took a lot of risk. They took a huge amount of risk to try and pull this off, and some of them it went really well. You know, pour one out for those that it didn't work out so well for. But a lot of people are, you know, if you're rushing in, or if you're right now just trying to degen into everything, a lot of people are going to get wrecked. So I'm slow playing it. I did mint Satoshi Nakamoto. To me, that's the obvious fucking winner, because there can't be more than one, and it's like the number 6 rune, and there's only 21 million. So it was like really meta, really well done. The ultimate Bitcoin meme is literally the legendary unknown anonymous founder themselves. So I did mint Satoshi Nakamoto, and I've started to sort of average into meme economics, which is another early one. There's one or two that and a couple that I'm watching, but generally I am slow playing right now and like waiting to see what happens. I'm not just, you know, sending my fucking Bitcoin everywhere, because that's how you get fucking destroyed. And how
are you doing on those plays?
Well, so to your point, Q, about like, you know, maybe it's a mistake, maybe not, just weighing your options of where you feel comfortable. I very much slow played Ordinals. As you know, it wasn't till late last year that I think I started getting in. So really took my time on that. And so I think so far, one of my biggest moves in this entire cycle has been Bitcoin puppets. So caught that wave, did well. And then with this one, I minted Satoshi Nakamoto. I got like 2,500 Satoshi Nakamoto. And I think that's already up like 4 or 5x. That might end up being one of my other biggest plays in this entire cycle if I hold on to that and it does well. So being very careful and strategic with the Bitcoin plays can be huge. Like some of the biggest plays are going to be in the Bitcoin network, but it's also just high risk, and obviously not everything works out, right? So far, I think I'm doing well, knock on wood, and you know, might be some of my biggest plays.
Dubious is asking, so does this make it a fair comparison to the BAYC land mint? I don't think people who participated in this got near. That is not the sentiment I'm seeing across my timeline. Also, Biggie Poppins dropping in a tweet here from Monty saying, many people turned their ETH into Vapor last cycle. Many people will turn their Sol and their BTC into Vapor this cycle. I highly recommend having long-term spot allos to the majors, which you simply refuse to touch. Put them on a cold wallet far, far away.
Dude, I think this is a phenomenal take. Like, this is the take for me this cycle, and what I'm trying to stick to hard Q. It's not easy, right? But just look at your NFT bags from Ethereum. I'm sure there's some that you're like, yikes, damn, shit, will it ever come back? And look at your BTC and treat it accordingly, man. Like, because I do think you having a lot of people vying for your Solana, whether it's pre-sales or some fucking, you know, new latest and greatest roadmap NFT. Same with BTC. They all want the underlying asset from you. Yep. And you need to be ultra judicious about where and who you give that money to. It's fine to have a degen bag, right? But when that degen bag goes out and you lose it, you don't get to go and get from your other vault and try to replenish it. That, you know, we all know what that is called, right? What is it?
A gambling addiction. Dude,
No,
I've been
to replace it again. It's like
sunk cost.
You're chasing.
Yeah, sunk cost fallacies. Correct.
Yeah. I've been doing very badly at this on Solana. For some reason in my head, I treat everything, dude, I treat everything like just shit coins, and I just keep gambling on dumb shit, just like I used to do on ETH. But somehow, you know, because the action's not there and I'm not feeling lucky on ETH, I just sort of like have my bags, or I protect my ETH much more because I've been through that. I've been wrecked too many times. But for some reason on Sol, I just like my mental model is fucked, and I just keep gambling like it's not real, and I, you know, losing.
It's
tons.
death by 1,000 cuts, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you do need to. If like what I'm trying to put in my mind is like, if it ain't an absolute hell yes, fuck yes, then it doesn't deserve your money. And it sucks to say, because there's great builders out there trying very cool stuff that needs support, right? Like, but at some point, you know, and we're seeing it a lot from artists right now, right? A lot of artists are kind of bummed because they don't have the attention. They're not getting the funds from this ecosystem. But fellas, at the same time, you know, as kumbaya as we can be and try to uplift and support y'all, there's too many. And like everybody here has this ultimate motive that we're trying to make it too, right? Like we want to feel like we already made it before we can actually start splashing fucking cash around into stuff that maybe is going to take years to play out.
Yeah.
If you're doing it as an investment. And if not, if you're doing it for the love of it, well, maybe you can wait a while. You know, I'm just putting it out there because I know there's some artists out there that are like, man, is the spotlight ever going to come back to us? I'm very much convinced that it is. And there's many signals out there that just demonstrate this. It's just at the moment, it's not the case.
Yeah.
Meta.
We've been talking about this. And look, we're on a daily show. We cover the ebbs and flows of the market, and we kind of give our take on where we think it is. And I've mentioned this pendulum multiple times, and I think ordinals and runes and all this, I feel like they're kind of viewing it in the mirror, like with 2020 vision. I feel like they've had a lot of catalysts, right? Like they were one after another, where you saw ordinals really, really do well. And at the same time, you saw Bitcoin doing all-time highs. And then you saw the runes that were going to come a month or two later. And so you had all of this hype drawn into the next narrative. And what that next narrative is for this, like, you know, umbrella Bitcoin ecosystem, I have no idea. I'm kind of caught in between wanting to see runes do extremely well, just because it's part of the crypto, and like it's awesome to see people have W's. But it's my opinion that until this momentum for runes slows down, you won't see the market shift back into these actual legitimate projects, art, gaming, legitimate ETH NFT or PFPs that have products behind them. Like it won't return. The pendulum will not swing until the momentum that way towards the ordinals ecosystem stops, or at least starts to really slow down. And so for me, like I do think, and I'm speaking from bag bias, I'll get off the stage here, but like runes not absolutely popping the F off is interesting, and like what that next narrative that they can pull people along with is. Because for the ordinals folks, it was like, hey, runes is launching soon. You know, hey, Bitcoin's going all-time highs.
My bags.
Like what's that next thing down the line that they can say, hey, look at this. And if there's nothing, it will eventually, like we know, fade.
I think it'll be interesting to see how the next one coming up, right? RSIC plays out there. I think that's a follow-up. Maybe this rune's outcome will help temper expectations regarding that. I think the biggest play there would be Opcat from the Wizards, right? Like that, I think it's the end game to see if this can actually play out. And I do want to see it happen, because that will definitely solidify what really needs to exist on Bitcoin and what doesn't, right? I do think, you know, ordinals are here to stay, but they're also like putting in question, like what should exist on ordinals, right? My thesis is that it's art. Like art is a no-brainer to me, right? You want the most robust, long-lasting canvas, you know, with the prestige and the liquidity to go with it, you know. Yes, ordinals. This does not mean that not on Ethereum. In fact, if you listen to Jared Paz this 420 when he came to visit us, I was still somewhat coherent then because it was earlier on in the show. But he's launching, with Rich Pool and Jesus Christ, Mr. Crane right now. I'm blanking on his first name. Roger Crane, Isometric, and he's doing it on Ethereum. Jared is very passionate about Ethereum and the provenance that it holds within the art space. I don't think you'll ever be able to hijack that or take that away from Ethereum. It is also a very valid place, and I think also will come to play certain things limitations that I think at least directly on Ethereum you are able to implement with NFTs, where you can do a lot more with it on Ethereum and even on these other more high performant blockchains like Solana, like Say, like Monad, Base, and Blast, right? And so I think that's what people need to come to terms, and we're still defining. And that could also be a catalyst, like you're talking about, Q, where maybe one of these. I really find interesting, for example, what's going on Blast right now, right? Where you're able to mint these NFTs by committing your ETH for 30 days, and they're fully refundable by the end of those 30 days. And then you get to keep the NFT, but you also basically funded whoever started this project or for stuff like that. So I don't know, man. I think there's no doubt in my mind that the pendulum will swing back. What that catalyst or thing will be, I'm not sure, but rest assured, it will happen.
It just doesn't feel like there's enough catalyst coming from the other side that it's going to somehow pull it back. It just has to stop over here, and then it will start swinging. There's not clearly there's just not enough of interest in caring about whatever's going on. We've seen that. I mean, maybe base has enough of a gravity, I think, right now, where it's if really cool stuff launches over there, you're like, oh, this is the meta. I could put allocate over here, but
I mean, we already got this runes, right? Which, like you said, it's not like an absolute crash and burn thing, but it was a bit of a bump in the road, a little bit underwhelming. The next thing is RSIC. And then after that, we're done. After that, yeah, fucking serious.
I did not mean to I thought you were going to keep going, but I'm just pulling up different tweets that I've seen across.
It's hard for me because I also wanted to read. But yeah, I think after RSIC, then, OBCAT is still some time away. So I think that's where you might get this lull in the market that you're talking about, Q, where, the attention might shift back into other chains and other projects. We do have EigenLayer starting to rear its head up. And like you said, Base, Blast, and maybe Say and Monad. Why are you wincing?
No, I'm trying to read some of these posts as you kind of go through. I'm just giving the audience other things to look at. No, I don't agree with the Loopify tag. I thought I was going to. I thought it kind of leaned into what we were talking about, but as I read it, he's basically asking, or he's basically a proponent of, I guess, not taking out capital and buying maybe harder assets than crypto, which is not the way I would go about it.
I think it's a little bit more nuanced where he's saying to the idea that you're going to go into these other assets and make a bunch of money instead of using them as a way to sort of offload and maybe protect some money or save it. I think that's the thing that I've seen people starting to talk. Ansem was tweeting about this too. People thinking that they're going to move crypto into other asset classes and then be able to get the same kinds of returns. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. But to your point, diversifying or protecting wealth once you've made it, that's good. Find some other asset classes for that. But you're probably not going to see the kinds of returns you can find in crypto anywhere else.
At least over the next 12 months. Obviously, you can lose this money very quickly in crypto as well. All right, guys, we are about halfway through the episode here. If you're here now on YouTube or X, we appreciate you guys very much for tuning in. We do these Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. We got about 155 folks in here as we kind of make our way through the show. I've got some kind of just, we're going to jump around a little bit. It's Monday. Usually that is the case. We kind of just hit on everything that happened over the weekend. Also, the Inside NFTs with Huda over there had that 12-hour stream. You saw our, friendly faces on there the whole time.
Dude,
the whole time.
So many cool people. We had D over there visit us, man. We had Jared. We had AKA Stevie, Henry the Grave. These fine folk. It was awesome, man. Thank you for joining. I had an absolute blast.
Yeah, I actually had a good time as well, being there the entirety of the 12 hours with you guys. Appreciate you guys for hosting that. And by the way, Captain Kong is here now. Easy in crypto. Let's see. He's talking about I need to get on the Rune train. Let's see. There's a couple others. OVOT. Just in case he's saying the Retordinals rocking the sign "You don't drool enough" made me snicker. Nick Sorb is saying don't buy pizza with crypto. Catsfanac saying I'm not rich enough to be a trader on BTC, so I'm going for the longer term passive income and hold a Rune Stone, Promethean, and Rune Door for the airdrops instead of aping into runes. That's the hardest thing to do, man. It really is the harder thing to do. But over the course of time, you've got a better chance of outperforming. Really quick, there's a couple other separate posts. I do want to have the Promethean talk, the CyberKongz talk that we were having at the end of GM Web 3, which I know I was throwing some water on what is an awesome moment for CyberKongz. They are back in the fold. They're being talked about. They're doing a lot of cool shit, but I think there is an element there that I want to kind of follow up on. Let me take a general look here at the market before we do that. So just looking at the top performers, we will get into Say here in just a moment. It was the top performer here. Sometime around 10 a.m., maybe 9 a.m., it was the number one performer in the top 100. It's sitting at 65 cents.
You know what that was? It was people bridging over to buy Cappy, sir. That's what it was.
Obviously.
He's done.
Sir.
Sir. All right, that is the first Cappy's reference that you've heard, so make sure you take your shot for the day. Other top performers, Pepe's on there, Near Protocol, Optimism, Aave, some top performers there. Oh, you know what? Why are we doing this? Pepe. We go to Crypto Bubble. So you see Pepe's, popping in there.
Near.
Right. Near's doing extremely well. Where is Say on this list? I just saw Say.
Right there.
Oh, yeah, right here. Yep. Pendle, I'm not familiar with Pendle. Going over to 100 through 200 here, we could see Ontology, which is wild. Every time I say I have to bring up Ontology, I get flashbacks. We have FTX token, FTT.
How? Please explain.
All right. I don't know. ENS, Arkham, looks like, I don't know about WeMix, looks like Pancake Finance, Pepe, Coins. Okay. All right. We get into the weeds very quickly once we go. Popcat up 70% here. Slurf, Kakinu over there in the Avalanche ecosystem standing out. What else do we see here? Is that
By the
Neutron?
way, this might be alpha. It also might be the end of your bags. There is Slurf on base. It's Blurf, and I bought some yesterday. So Blurf. Go check it out. Go look at that chart, Q, if you want.
I will. I'll go bring it up. I'll bring it up here in a second.
He was just talking about dying by 1,000 cuts, and now he's like, Splurf.
No, it's Blurf. Come on, put some respect on Blurf's name over here.
All right, GM Carrie Ross, DP saying I had a hell of a time on that 12-hour stream. Q didn't show up until the last hour.
What are you talking about?
Dedicated to the content life as I thought. Got to be willing to die for this shit.
What stream are you watching, sir? Don't know what you're referring to. How dare you?
Stream.
How dare you besmirch my man Q's good name?
All right, we got to hit Say. We got to hit FriendTech V2 that's launching. And I do want to have the CyberKongz discussion. Right before that, this popped across my timeline, by the way. I don't know who Rax. I mean, Rax. I don't follow this guy. Oh yeah, I guess I do. He's saying unless BAYC LLC announces a profit split with holders, I don't see any other catalyst that could pump current floor price. And then Garg actually responded. here. So at least some info on the broader NFT side. There's zero chance of this happening for BAYC or for, frankly, any US-based project. First of all, I don't really
if I'm not mistaken, because he answered back.
Seems like Yuga or BAYC LLC can license the old holder's IP and pay out without any securities risk. This is coming from an ignorant holder.
How can you literally say, if I'm not mistaken,
I know, right?
I have zero.
That's why I don't put anything into this Rax guy. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Look,
engagement
farming. This story is more for Garga's response. Like, again, we're following the regulatory side on the NFT front for you guys and are still doing so. And one of the top NFT projects, the founder's saying, you know, you're not going to be able to do this if you're in the US. So I wanted to get that to you guys. Any thoughts on that besides Biggie rightfully calling out that this guy is a little bit ridiculous? Not the greatest source for solid info.
Yeah, his command of the English language is lacking, to say the least. But I also think he's wrong in the sense that, like, saying that there's no other way to drive value back to holders. Now, I'm not saying there is a proven roadmap out there that is already, but I think BAYC and Yuga are some of the companies that can figure that out, have the capacity and the war chest and the team to attempt figuring that out for longer than most of the projects out there. So I'm not fading them.
Yeah.
Seems ridiculous.
Yeah, Carrie saying, what a dunce Rex is. Hello. If you buy stuff toy, are you expecting a percentage of profits? He's engagement farming for sure here. The guy is engagement farming. Whether his point about what is the next catalyst, do they need a catalyst like that? That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, I don't want to put too much into the actual post as it is the response from Garga. All right, let's get into this Promethean question that I had at the end of GM Web 3. I've kind of already laid it out for my co-hosts up here, but you know, in a bubble, or in, what's the word I'm looking for? TLDR on this. CyberCon is doing extremely well. Love it. I think they've separated themselves from a project that we've mentioned multiple times. Something like Doodles, where they were doing shit, nobody cared. The move to Ronin was awesome, has been. The move to Ordinals has been awesome. My question is around this Prometheans drop, this 21,000 collection drop that they will now have associated with their ecosystem. And my question on GM Web 3 was, is this not just repeating the Mutant Ape, the Gutter Clone, the dogs, the Kennel Club, all of this derivative NFT situation that we saw play out in 21, which was awesome. This is my piece. It was awesome at the time. Everyone was like, this is great. Look at where we're going into another eco. Like, other people are getting involved in the collection. And then a year later, it actually ended up like it killed gutter cats. You know, I'm not even adding hyperbole. It killed collections. I'm not saying that a lot of these will be killed, but I just want to pose the question. Is this just running back a narrative that now they have to deal with 21,000 dilution of their ecosystem?
Inverse brought in a great comment. Kind of funny how people never ask for utility and or roadmap catalyst when price goes up, but as soon as it goes down hard, they are begging for it. Spot on, my friend, as usual. We'll see how this plays out. I think, you know, listening to Henry talk, you know, again on that 420 spaces, you should go listen, because he was also like underslept. And so I think like he was, you know, like how you don't sleep well sometimes because you're so like high on euphoria. You just like are very passionate and you talk sometimes a little better. I don't know. It's happened to me when I've pulled all-nighters in the name of something that I love and I'm trying to do. Anyways, I believe they called it like something like their YOLO fund or something like that. Like I think Henry's very cognizant of the fact that it's a huge gamble, it's a huge risk. But if runes are going to be that thing, that next evolution, you know, these guys are in a prime real estate, in a prime spot. You know, like they literally staked their claim on prime real estate, and it is, you know, again, like the type of community that you want on that spot, right? Like, it's not some random person or somebody that's undoxed. No, man, it's the Kongs. You can point back to a lot of fucking innovation. And granted, like we've talked about here, there's been moments when you've wondered if that was it for them, right? But it hasn't. And they're here, I think, better than ever, right? Like, and now having had a chance to experience the community, talk with the founder, man, like it just makes me so much more bullish on the things that they're probably ideating to bring over to Bitcoin. Like, because I don't think that they did this just to reward their holders, right? They definitely onboarded me into that community via this NFT. And like I said in the show, the only thing I would flip it for would be another asset in the Kong's ecosystem, which would be Mini Kong or something like that right now. But the point being, I think, is that it's very bullish, I think, for both, like for the Kongs and for the Ordinals people ecosystem to have a team like the Kongs be there on the number 2 spot leading the charge, man. I don't think it's going to be dilutive, especially when you consider 2 factors, Q. One is that we are waiting for that influx of normies. And
before you answer this, before you give me the answers, I just want you to insert this into the MAYC in 21. I want to make sure that this holds water, and it's not just the same combo.
But here's the thing. You also need to bring into that thesis, Q, the context. What was BAYC, MAYC back then? It was Ethereum and Ethereum only. There was no other game in town. There was no L2s. There was nothing. All you had was that and Tezos maybe. And that's it. Now you are potentially, and that is the bet that most Ordinal and Runes people are betting on, is that you have all this locked up liquidity. You have potentially a segment of these maxis, not all of them, that will embrace this new tech, that will want to be onboarded into this and play in this ecosystem. And if it can capture a sliver of the market cap and the people involved in that ecosystem, I think that's bullish. I think that's good. I think you will onboard new people that way too.
What are you onboarding to? You're not onboarding them onto ETH where the OG collection is. You're just meeting them where they are, and they're purchasing a NFT where they already are. You're not onboarding. So you're not onboarding them into ETH.
Yes, true. If you're like GIF and you don't join the Discord and you don't partake in the community, for sure.
Damn, sorry, that's just straight.
But if you do, you bet your fucking ass I'm gonna be joining that Discord, getting my Prometheans role, and start fucking around with the Kongs. Look, it's baby steps. I get it. It's not like floodgates. It's not like, man, here comes the tsunami. But you're setting the stage and you're having those assets out in the wild and available, right? And like, there's no doubt in my mind that we will see them go up and down in value. And again, this is the testing ground that we're going to have in this cycle with BTC. How well do they mesh with the greater NFT community? How much do people embrace them? And is there going to be some cross-pollination between these different ecosystems and potentially future like innovation in that space? Look, there's definitely a lot of landmines and things that can go wrong. I agree with that, Q. Having said that, it's not a reason to not attempt it. Yeah. And I think the people that you would like and want to be attempting it are there, like the content.
I don't want to be the Debbie Downer. I just think that this whole situation, like, you can't really go back. Like, you can't be unpregnant. You know what I mean? Or what's the analogy that I'm talking about? Like, you can't. Yeah. The die is cast once you add the supply out there.
You can burn.
There's burn,
but it's not easy to put it back. I get the point. To me, what it comes down to, so much of it is execution. And I know that almost feels like a cop-out, but I'll explain a little bit more, right? Because it's about biting off more than you can chew and then not doing good by whatever promises you're making, or making certain parts of your community feel undervalued. So like, every great brand or product is, and great artists, great whoever, creators, they're always constantly reinventing themselves, finding out where the attention is, figuring out how do I fit into this? How does my brand fit in? So just by nature of like participating and watching a new thing, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now you open up a lot of questions because we've seen it go wrong in the past when people bite off more than they can chew, the execution is poor, etc. I think like as long as CyberKongz does not start to fumble a bunch of balls because they're just juggling too much shit, then I think they're going to do great. Like right now, the way that they did this seems to have gone over very well. They airdropped it. They're spending a bunch of their own money. They're not being extractive. They're not asking people for a bunch of shit. They're not doing short-term bullshit. They're not doing fuckery. They're not trying to build out a bunch of different games all at once. They're not buying other fucking IP to try and integrate that into their fucking banner shit. Like that, to me, it all comes down to, can they continue to execute well? Do they get out over their skis too much? Do they take on more than they can chew? I don't think they're doing that right now. They seem to be very clearly moving in a very like sort of strategic way towards where they see the balls moving and growing their brand and their footprint. To me, it's like when I, again, compare them, we've already been comparing them to like BAYC, but let's compare them to Gods. Gods, I don't think had a clear strategy, and whenever they tried to go in a direction, they had no conviction, and then they ended up sort of waffling all over the place. I look at CyberKongz, they have clear leadership, clear vision, clear strategy, and they are fucking executing on that shit very fast. So it's just like, how long can they continue to keep building out their brand in a great way that makes people happy? Can they keep it going forever, or is there a certain point where they sort of say, okay, that's it, that's the thing?
I want to bring one more other collection into this and kind of get your guys' last thoughts as the Christian Karanko saying guy on the bottom looks like Ron Swanson.
Who the fuck is that?
Ron
Swanson's a fucking wedge. Come on, bro. That's a compliment.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Yes.
I'm going to bring in, hold on. I want to bring in Oniforce. Okay. Because Oniforce did this as well. And I don't think that they're riding on as much momentum as CyberKongz, and I don't know if they're going as degen as CyberKongz. Like CyberKongz going full, like they're going after the number 2 rune. Like they're just out there, and I cannot say enough about how much I enjoy what they're doing. I'm just asking the long-term question of what happens in a year. But Oniforce has a collection that is a little bit more, in my opinion, gray on like the quality of the OG and the new one. And with Prometheans, what CyberKongz has done is said, like, this doesn't look anything like a Kong. This is like literally a floating sphere. But when you go to the Fallen, you're like, do I want to own a Fallen or do I want to own an Oniforce? And I think this is where I'm kind of getting caught up, man, because yes, great positive short-term impact. I just wonder with like the Oniforce, I mean, they're sitting at 0.3 at this point. Like, I think you start to get into weird territory with the Fallen and Oni and what happens to this OG collection, man. I really
look, and Quantum brings up something really interesting. He's like, how many communities can we be a part of, right? And like just the way you phrased it, Quantum, I can hear that you're like, fuck, I'm exhausted. The follow-up comments is like, yeah, I can't keep track of all of them. And this is fair. Having said that, how many communities can you be a part of? How many communities are you already a part of and you don't see them as such? Do you have a Costco membership? Do you practice a sport? Are you a biker or a skater? Are you a father? Are you a parent? Or are you not? All of these things put you into a certain communities and like certain comportments, right? Like there's certain things that you do that inevitably lead you to hang out with other people that are in the same situation as you are, right? Like now that I'm a parent, all of a sudden I'm having to fucking talk to other parents, which sometimes it's annoying, you know? And eventually I'm gonna have to take them to these fucking Chuck E. Cheese bullshits and these parties or whatever, right? Where they give them shit that maybe I don't approve of. There's different levels. I think, you know, you're right. It's very hard to keep track of them, especially when you're invested in them for monetary gain, right? If you're not, that makes things very different, right? And I think, like you said, like I find that the ones that I'm mostly involved in, currently being Proof, Web3, the Naked Yeti Club, man, like I am not expecting any crazy returns as of yet. I just love being a part of it and what they're doing, and I want to contribute, right? Like I want to have my name there, right, in those clubs, and say, hey man, this dude was a positive force and enabled us to do these things. Like that's why I want to be part of those communities. Others, yes, I'm a little more involved for a short to medium term. They don't need to be either or. There can be a mix of them, right? Where some of them you're a little more passive, and some of them you're a little more active. We're still figuring it out, but I think I agree, like with the sentiment of not spreading yourself too thin. And more than anything, I think it's important to exit a community if you're not vibing with it, and you're just sitting on it hoping to make money. I think there's other things that you could do with your capital to make money that it doesn't require you to sit through something when you're not feeling it, right, or no longer feel it.
What combo? I'm confused at where we're at with the combo. What are we speaking on, Biggie?
You're talking about like dilution and like,
yeah. So you're talking about from the community's perspective, or like the collector,
or you user. Being a part of that community.
Because
Quantum was bringing up like, how many communities can you really be a part of and keep track of, right? Like it can be exhausting. I know recently I've been doing that, like going through like just cutting the fat or cleansing my Discord servers, like of stuff that doesn't update as often. And same with TikTok. I actually had somebody, like I exited their Discord and on the same network, and dude, they noticed, they were very cool. They immediately DM'd me and they were like, hey man, like I noticed you left our community. Is there a reason? Is there anything I can do to make you come back? And my reply was, dude, I am not selling. I love your community. It's just that you're always around. And so I figure any updates I will find out from you, and I don't need to have another Discord to take up my mind share and worry because I feel like I need to track it, right? I'm still very much part of that community. I feel, it's like a new talent that we have to develop, right? Like back in the day when all of this didn't exist, you used to hear mothers and parents talk about it all the time, right? Oh my God, I have PTA, and then my kid has fucking ballet, and then I have to do my job, and then I have to do all these things. Well, now you have another fucking layer on top of it, which is like crypto fucking Discord, Telegram communities. All of this makes it very confusing, hard to keep up
confused.
With. But
yeah.
What?
I'm listening, but I'm also like, we're down a very
we're into the weird Biggie Poppins
right.
big dad weeds, and we're enjoying it. Smash the like for being a father and also a DJ at the same time.
Well, I just think
that
like all of these
a lot to manage.
Give you a sense of identity and belonging to a certain group, right? Like they just do.
Yeah.
And I think NFTs do that in a different way, and like there's different purposes for these communities and projects, right? Like some of them are solely monetary, others are like really trying to achieve something else, right? Take your pick. And I do agree, like there is such a thing as spreading yourself too thin, but I am continuously impressed that when I do find a community or a project that enthuses me, I go really deep and I really try to like engage with it, right?
I feel like we brought a lot of information to the folks out there, but I don't think my question was answered up here. I think we brought a lot of info to them though. No, I think like the last 10 minutes we spent on this, so we got to move on. But I do think that, again, spreading yourself too thin from an investor or a collector or community member standpoint is a real problem, and there's not enough time to be spent. I was getting more at the distribution of and like the lack of maybe long-term building with the OG collection in mind. I just wonder where we end up with that stuff. And I know that's throwing a fucking water on a party. And the Cyberconks, you guys are doing awesome. I just don't know what that looks like in a bear market 10 months from now when the OG collection is now dwarfed by or at least like on par with the Ordinals collection. It hasn't worked out on ETH. It just hasn't.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, it's all new. And again, we kind of got into like a weird what if territory, but I do think that drawing some comparisons is interesting, and Oni Forest, choosing to go the route of like more Oni characters versus something totally different, I do think is an interesting part that I'm sure, we'll see how it continues to develop. Rebel asking, are Q and GIF bearish on Ordinals and Runes? I'm definitely not. Some of my biggest wins are in Ordinals and Runes already. I was minting Satoshi Nakamoto and I'm collecting a few other. I think Q's a little more bearish, or he's just more nonchalant than I am.
Not bearish. Not bearish by any means. I don't like the fact that there's not a lot of substance behind a lot, and people are making it seem like there's substance there, where it's really just like airdrop of something else that gets us something else. Dude, that's the game. Like, I'm not gonna hate the player on that one. Y'all do what you got to do, and I know how the space works, at least in the experience that I have had. So I'm not up here like crying about it whatsoever. I'm just like hands off. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not by any means bearish on all of that stuff. I just wish there was more legitimate stuff that was coming out, and it's really just like, how else can I gamble on this shit? And it is what it is. Jesse Pollock showing why he's one of the favorite follows. We should call them memes, not meme coins. The coin part is just one distribution tool memes used to proliferate alongside many other forms of creativity and experimentation. Solid take.
Yeah, it's true. I think, you can talk about the meme coin when you're specifically talking about buying and selling or investing in memes, but just generally speaking about them as memes makes sense. I fucks with it. Jesse Pollock, he owns a Droppers. He bought a Droppers. Got to throw that out there. Salute the man. Absolute Chad over there.
Marty is saying that the thing is, CyberKongs is superior to the Yuga machine. Rebel saying Kongs are on another level. They're all about the community. They will be the one few left standing. Okay. I don't want to go further into this, but all they did was tap a new well. Like, you have to start to understand, like don't sugarcoat this shit. They went to Ronin and they went to Ordinals, two places that are really, 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 really popping off.
So they were
doing the same. They were doing arguably cooler shit with Genkai, and like really the ETH community was not that much about it. The Ronin community fucking loved it, but they're tapping two new liquidity sources. Like, don't make it any more complicated than that. Don't try to sugarcoat this shit.
I agree with you, but I also think that, again, execution matters. And if
execution mattered, Doodles would be doing well. GIF, because
their execution has not been good.
No, they went to the wrong places. If they did the avatar shit on Ronin, like, that would be really fucking cool.
They picked Flow.
They picked Flow, and nobody was there, and everyone was like, "Fuck off."
So okay, strategy and execution matters.
Okay, but see, I think it's also like the way you're labeling them, right? Q is like they tap these new, currently winning and important.
Aavegotchi is another example.
What makes them these like honeypots of liquidity? It's activity. It's people that are actually using that ecosystem, right? And potentially, it's not going to be a one-way relationship. And I think, like, again, what Rebel is talking about is like, you do want people that are like long-term minded, like the Kongs, that are very much about community. If you're going to want to build something of substance over on BTC, right? We've talked about it a lot of times here. Like, you can't shortcut these things. You can't shortcut community. You can't shortcut time in market. We see it right now with our creator, like in our creator ecosystem, right? Like, all these influencers that were gone the last 4 years, all of a sudden coming back and talking shit, right? Well, the space has changed, and now you can actually go back and see people that have been here long during the fucking bear and beyond, and you can take your pick of like who you want to listen to or who you want to join, right? Like, I think Cons going into BTC is bullish to me for that very reason, because they are long-term minded people, right? Like, even if they miss with their first drop, right, via Prometheus, they're gonna have plenty of shots at goal. But man, that prime real estate that they secured for their community, if Runes becomes the thing that a lot of people seem to think it's gonna be a tremendous source of just fucking potential for them to execute from. I think so. That's why I fuck with it.
I just think that you're a little bit underselling this strategy and execution side of it. And so, yes,
but Aavegotchi, take my Aavegotchi example and break it apart. Like, they were doing really cool shit, and but
their strategy was off. Their strategy was way off. They didn't have the right strategy.
which was just to tap a new liquidity source and
to go where everybody else was going, go where the people are, go where the liquidity is. Stop fighting. Stop thinking that you can fight the way that the whole market is moving.
Yeah.
Rebel, I agree with you there.
It's just they changed one thing.
It, right?
It feels like. I feel like all three of these projects did one thing that was the main important thing. They went to wherever the liquidity was. They could have launched all of this stuff on a different chain and it not hit.
Now, question, like, yes, liquidity is definitely an important part of it, but let's not sugarcoat it either, Q. Tech is as well. You have to pick the right one, right? Like, I think, we're seeing the after effects of the Kongs in the Ron network, but they were making that move way before the spotlight was ever on Ron. They made a choice. And they made the right choice. It could have been another fucking flow.
I just think it's very easy. It's
we're overselling the tech part of it and underselling the liquidity part of it.
We're underselling like what good. We're underselling what good leadership and visionaries like actually do in the space, because it's difficult enough to have one massive success. Like you could argue, if you're super jaded and don't actually know what goes into launching a really quality early project, that it's super easy to just get lucky and strike lightning once. No, it's actually very hard even to hit like one super successful project, but then to be one of the earliest projects that's figured out how to reinvent yourself and now hit multiple fucking home runs. This is not easy at all. So I'm sorry that yeah, sure, you can just say, oh, they're just tapping new liquidity and chasing liquidity. But no, there is strategic vision and execution that goes into making this shit happen that is actually remarkably difficult, especially when you're doing it multiple different times. You've got teams of people.
It's less a critique on the project and it's more critique on the space. Right? Like we covered CyberCons when no one cared about the latest product that they were rolling out. Like that was where CyberCons were at. We would be like, are we talking about this right now? Because in a week, no one's going to care. And the team didn't change. The community didn't change.
No, but their strategies did. They figured it out. They shifted some things around. They figured out what's the bigger vision. How do we change what we're doing? Stop doing the dumb shit that we're doing. And they figured it out. And that's a very difficult thing to do. So I just, as a multiple time founder who's been in the space trying to build shit, knowing how fucking hard it is, I don't want to undersell when there's legit leaders that continue to reinvent and do impressive things in the space, because it's not easy. And Izuki was another one that was brought up. Like they took the bag.
So Inverse is getting at the heart. Like Inverse does a great job of kind of like
Inverse
very,
on the page, dude.
yes. And he is putting into words oftentimes I talk around it, and he's definitely putting in words. I think bouncing back and forth or spreading too thin with multiple collections is not the way. And I know that is water to throw on a party. That's my point. Like, I just don't think this is the way. I just don't long term think this is the way. It just comes down to it.
Definitely be right.
Yeah.
But if somebody's gonna prove you wrong, it would probably be
CyberCons. Yeah, that's fair. There you go. All right, I like it. All right, we're gonna get into the last updates of the day. Cam Taylor is definitely agreeing with you, Gifted. Yes, it's really effing hard. Zero the Hero saying the crypto market literally has ADHD. Cam saying utility suffers from execution risk. Lemon GF saying I'm confused how building a project long term on BTC works without royalties.
And I kind of like what Marty said there. Yuga dropping 12 for money is what Q thinks CyberKongz is doing, but it's different. Yuga just came for cash. CyberKongz gonna do cool shit, no doubt. Like I kind of agree with that. The reason why is that I don't think Yuga went in for cash, Marty. They genuinely want to have a foothold in the art space. It's just that it fell on deaf ears, and it's the reason why they now purchased Proof, and we're gonna help them fucking kick ass this fucking year.
Yeah, I also don't think CK is CryptoKongz is trying to make. I mean, although again, tapping a new liquidity source for a raise, we've seen this happen in multiple different. Like, say we've seen that a bunch. Like, projects have said, no, I'm not doing my sale here. I'm actually going to go to Ordinals instead. Like, there is an element of that where Ordinals, is being used as a proxy to get another raise without tapping the ETH ecosystem, which has no care in the world for supporting new mints. I don't think CyberKongs is doing that. I don't think CyberKongs is like out to make a bag off this Ordinal stuff. I genuinely think they're trying to get the interest here. Get the interest and like do really cool shit around a new narrative.
The fact that they YOLO'd a bunch of their funds, to like take a huge risk to get these runes, tells you why they are fundamentally built different than most other projects. Because Azuki wouldn't do that, because Azuki's trying to get the bag for themselves. Like most founders don't even have the resources or the like vision and executional capability to understand how to do what they did, but then to actually like risk and gamble your funds this way, like understand they are built different.
All right. Marty's saying it's a coin, not a new collection, all different things. If you're talking about Prometheans, I don't agree with that at all. Like the exact 180. I guess you can kind of cloak that with the tech and say that, but really it's a new collection within this ecosystem. People will view it that way.
And Inverse is adding just another layer of complexity there about like omni-chain NFTs, you know. I find those interesting. Ghostly Ghosts, I think they were birthed in Phantom, right? Inverse. Yeah, like I don't know. There's something about that, like, you know, having a birth certificate for your NFT. Like we were just talking in Say What in the Morning, we had a couple of people that like came from Cardano of all places. It's like, sheesh, that's a long ways of, you know, like that's far away, friend. Welcome. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I can't speak to it too much, but yeah, we'll see. It's an interesting concept. I, for the moment, definitely like to know where my NFTs were birthed, like where they come from.
All right, I'm not even going to take the bait on that one. So we're going to move on here into the say. I got two things. FriendTech is launching V2 here on April 29th, I believe. So that should be early next week. Yeah, so Monday of next week, we see FriendTech V2 go live. They're posting a bunch of different stuff. It looks like they're having a meetup.
Oh, yeah, SocialFi was what we were supposed to talk about.
Yeah, New York, LA, San Fran, Miami. Here next week, pull up. We see a bunch of FriendTech pieces. This should be when the FriendTech points turn into tokens. This is a assumption. FriendTech will likely do well. So even Marty here, who faded and then unfaded and then faded FriendTech again, is going to potentially receive some FriendTech tokens. Who knows how it does? Usually the whale markets are way over predicted on the actual price itself. So I think I remember seeing like $8 FriendTech points, like per point basically on whales. It's probably not what it's going to go for, but it's going to be huge. I mean, it's on base. It's backed by Paradigm. This is going to be a pretty successful liquidity event here for folks that are involved. We'll see what it means for the rest of the base ecosystem though. All right, any thoughts on base, or I mean, sorry, on FriendTech?
I'm remaining even more bullish on base. I haven't been super bullish on FriendTech. I hope it goes well because I know you and Mike Finch and a bunch of our friends definitely were invested.
I remember it was gonna be the new thing, right? Like I'm having.
It had a moment. They fucked up
before.
The execution. Poor execution.
You know? I think Farcaster is taking the cake there. It's going to be hard to overtake Farcaster. And what's the other one?
It's a coin. It's a coin allocation, just like Arsic and RuneSense is not. It's an allocation for their rune. So So it's going to turn into
he's just drawing a clear differentiation between like an additional PFP versus more of like a utility token or just an allocation token. And that's I think that's true. I think that's fair.
So there's an element to this that is like the mutant serum.
Yeah,
but if the mutant serum had multiple different drops outside of the mutant serum,
I think it's more like a mint pass or something that has like a certain amount of utility or time within it, and people are kind of in it for that thing. And so I don't think that their expectations will probably go too long past that.
Yeah, it's very clearly not a PFP. Like that, we made that distinction with the Fallen and Oni Force, and that not being the same thing. So,
and I think if they had made it more like CyberKong's PFPs, then to your point, Q, they'd have a little bit more of that dilution to concern.
Yeah,
but I think again strategically
another collection.
Yeah,
sorry,
but if it's only meant to have value for a certain time or to turn into a meme token or something else, like.
All right, Quantum is saying Farcaster won the SocialFi with warps and degen. That's probably right. That's probably really fair. Carrie Ross saying so conflicted. I want to get into Ordinals runes, but I don't want to spend my BTC. But I want it to 2 or 3 or 4x. Oh, what a problem to have. Terrible how knowing about it is a bummer.
My reach goal is to try and get to 2 whole Bitcoin, but maybe 3. Really reach goal. Try and get the 3 whole Bitcoin during the cycle.
All right, we host a Say What in the Morning. We cover the Say space pretty heavily on that, so I'm not going to take up your time. Say token, one of the top performers of the last weekend here. We're sitting around 65 cents right now. We had bottomed out about at 43, so I think we're like up almost 50% here in that time frame. And swap going live is pretty big. So we got beta launch that is live on mainnet. So we thought this was maybe a DevNet piece that was going to launch during V2, but they said screw that. We've launched a stake, swap, bridge, and fiat on ramp here. And I had another piece here. Oh, it looks like the balancer proposal over there on that balancer governance went live and passed.
Yes,
so
let's do it.
Jellyverse is coming.
Hell yeah, Jellyverse! Congratulations.
I'm excited for the momentum starting to come back on the Say network, but I have to say, I feel a certain kind of way about the fact that nobody seems to care or address the quick exchange thing. It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Cause dude, I had a legitimate, I don't know, 10 to 15 NFTs and even some Say locked up on their platform.
Yeah.
Just disappeared.
I did not want to push the team on it just because, again, it's not the team's fault, but
but nobody's even acknowledged it.
No, but I mean, you might.
I don't think many people were using it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I do think it's important to eventually push people to, because somebody there has a contact information, right? Like they were initially accepted via the Say Foundation, so there's got to be a way to reach out to them and say, hey man, give people access to their NFTs. I think it's only fair. They didn't do a very good job of letting people know.
It's not just hey, an NFT project rugged. This is a whole exchange that had people locking up a bunch of funds and assets in the exchange that just disappeared with everybody's shit. That's a different level of fuckery than just an NFT project or a meme coin not doing well or disappearing. So I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing it up.
I'm trying to get to the bottom of it too. I just didn't want to be like, your team, what the hell is going on? I'm just trying to slow play this.
But I wish somebody would at least. I wish somebody would at least acknowledge it, because I'm sure I'm not the only person that had shit that disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna cover this as much as I don't want to acknowledge just the absolute. Just the attitude here. We will go into gold diggers here. So 353 TVL, 89% minted, 0.2 price here, 0.2 ETH price. Looks like this is going to mint out for sure. We're sitting here on an active public mint.
I'm flying Air Marty. It's comfortable, first class.
Is it comfortable?
Yeah. You'd sit on a first class.
You get good customer service on that.
You put on your earphones and it's just fud. It's like Yuga sucks.
That sounds real comfortable.
Yeah, that sounds.
Sure. Wait, so this is an NFT project or
it's a gold farming initiative by Cirrus. Marty shared it in the Discord. If you don't know who Cirrus is, then I don't know what you're doing in the space. You must be blind. The dude knows his shit. He's got a tremendous following, and if there's anybody that understands these gamification, it's that guy. And it's one of those innovative techs that we did mention, Marty. I believe it was on Say What, and then we also mentioned it on Web3. but you mint this NFT by locking your ETH for 30 days, and then you get full refund of your ETH. So you're just locking it up for 30 days and potentially earning points and gold by doing so.
I'm glad that we came back to it, because we kind of breezed past the blast thing. Maybe tomorrow, I don't know, we'll see what the headlines are, but at some point this week, I do think we should do a blast focus show, because farming over there is heating up. There's starting to be more legitimate projects and builders. Like, this is an example of a legit builder starting to use more innovative things. I think the whole blast narrative, it has been a sleeper, and it's starting to wake up, and we should absolutely be paying a little bit more attention to what's happening.
And I think was it Jen that like posted an Excel sheet showing like what they're incentivizing? I thought it was very interesting. GIF, you might have seen that too, that a lot of the incentivization right now is for you to go and do the District 1, the social stuff, right? They're very much trying to capture, incentivize, and compete with the SocialFi movement that's going on base.
I don't know what the movement was like right before we posted this, but it went from 89% to 98% minted.
You motherfucking degens. And FATYOR.
Yeah, make sure you're doing that.
I'm accepting my fate as a fader here on this one, but the point is, like, you talk about Jen Duffer, Marty was the first one that pointed her out, but she's been killing it with the blast farming overviews and sort of tutorials. She just published another great video that I watched last night, and started reallocating some things, because they're about to do the second distribution of their blast gold, which, if you don't know, 50% of the entire airdrop is gold. So it's 50% points, 50% gold. That's the allocation of how the airdrop's going to go. 50. It's points and gold. So gold gets half of the entire airdrop.
This is about 100% minted out, it looks like, in like the next couple seconds. Really interesting gamification, right? Like, you're not paying Cirrus to stake the NFT. Well, I guess you're staking, but they're earning based on that. Yeah, it just sold out. We actually just get like a baby reveal here, it looks like.
Congratulations. I wonder what those things will be trading for.
All right, we got to run here. We're gonna shut down the show here, but it very interesting. Again, you're not paying, but you're staking your ETH. But in those 30 days, they're using that ETH likely to farm, which is what they get paid from. So really, really interesting mechanic here, because you're essentially not paying for the NFT. It's a
native view.
NFT can eventually give you more value down the line, right? They can use that.
Yeah, so that's fair. Royalties really or something like that. Yeah.
Please pull up that last link that I showed you. I think this is an important one that I want our community to be very much aware of. Favor.
Don't show me a unicorn on this show, Biggie Poppins, without the gay unicorns.
I've been talking to Mark. Next week, he'll come and visit us and talk runes and some other stuff. I think there's a reason why that thing hasn't been launched just yet, but it should be a good reason. I'm sorry. Yeah. Unicorns cause a little bit of an issue for me too, but this is a very intriguing social media app that I'm seeing pop up in many of my circles that believe can be a contender, a very strong contender against Warpcast and against all these other SocialFi applications. I have it loaded on my phone. It's really cool. And yes, you can do certain tasks to start earning points. I honestly, like, this is one I wouldn't fade. Doesn't cost a thing. Just download it, connect it, and do a couple of things, and you're well on your way to getting your allocation. But it's really slick. I do prefer this app versus Warpcast. Something you might want to check out and try, but definitely going to be a competitor. Also, I believe using Base.
There we go.
So
last bit of alpha here,
man.
Guys. We went about an hour and 20.
Blast. Base and Blast, man. I'm telling you, this is going to be an ongoing narrative. They're both competing for DeFi, SocialFi.
BB Conundrum, bro.
Yeah, and anyway, it's heating up.
Love to hear it. All right, I had Biggie Poppins, Gifted, and myself, Nifty Q. Tomorrow we will be back, same time, as we do every single day throughout the week. We are going to be having ourselves a nice little bull market here, hopefully. Not financial advice, DYOR, all that good stuff. But we think there's good things coming. Glad to get to spend this time with you. Yeah, I think that goes out to everybody who's listening. Maybe
there's over $7 billion worth of shorts that get liquidated.
I thought you were going to say we had 7 billion viewers right now. God damn it, GIF.
One day. No, if BTC hits a new ATH, 7.2 billion worth of shorts get liquidated.
That's a long time from now, though, right? 66. What are we? 66K.
Just saying. Here's the hoping.
Let's do it, dude. That's the jet fuel we need. All right, Biggie Poppins, Gifted, send us out. I appreciate y'all joining. OVOT, see you tomorrow.
OVOT fam, I love you. We'll see you tomorrow.
Wow, he's still on his 420 vibe. We appreciate that. We appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. Smash that mother heckin' like, y'all. We'll be back tomorrow. More Say What in the morning, more GM Web 3, and more NFT Live.